Think you know what way it's going to go? Make your bet at Sports Interaction. Whatever your sport, Sports Interaction has you covered pregame, live betting on all major sports, and prop bets. Want to bet? Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 and over, please play responsibly.
Let's start in the buyers category with a team that nobody cares about, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, no interest whatsoever to what's going to happen.
No one cares.
Next 35, 36 days in Toronto, where the Leafs are humming along. Let's face it. They've had a great season. It feels a little back to the future-ish with, we already pretty much know they're facing Tampa. We know they have a good team. We know Tampa's got a good team. It's sort of like, line up your men and go. So what's Toronto going to do? I think, it wouldn't surprise me to see them make a couple moves. I don't know that they're locked in on just one thing. They've actually found a decent groove with their forward group. And so there was a lot of talk early on. Maybe they need a top six winger. I still think that could happen, but maybe doesn't need 100% to happen. I could see them, certainly kicking tires on a defenseman. What's interesting, I guess, about the Leafs cap position, Julian, is that, barring, an injury, a new LTI injury that doesn't exist today, so we don't know what's going to happen in the future, they'll probably have somewhere $1.5 to $2 million in cap room come deadline day to bring someone in. And so if they do make multiple transactions, you might see, salary traded off the roster. That's not something Kyle Dubas has done too often in the past. A couple trade deadlines, maybe some smaller players, but in general, that's not been an approach he's taken. He's been more of a pure add to his group, but there might have to be some subtraction here. The other thing that I think is worth watching is what the Leafs do with their first round pick. And they've been hesitant as an operating philosophy to trade a first rounder straight up for a rental player. And that's not to say it can't happen. I mean, they might look at this year as we got to go do that. When they see the prices, when as it gets closer, maybe that's, where they have to get to. But, based on my understanding of how they've looked at it in the past, I just think it's too risky to do that. I mean, really, the maximum you're getting a player for is 48 games. That's maximum. That's say 20 regular season games and 28 playoff games if you play 4-7 game series. So, it's a steep price to pay. But maybe they get in on a player that isn't a rental, and that's a little different situation. So, that's some of where I think the Leafs are at. I think they feel pretty good about their goaltending. That might be something we wouldn't have guessed entering the season, but Ilya Samsonov has been good. Matt Murray's played more sparingly lately, but he's fared pretty well, all things considered, over the season. And they also have a couple guys cooking in the American Hockey League. So, I would say look for the biggest impact move likely to be a forward, but don't be surprised if we're talking about multiple trades by the time we get to 3:01 p.m. Eastern time in the city of Toronto on March 3rd.
Oh, yeah, that'll surely get that entire market excited if multiple trades happen. And this might be the team to actually get over that hump of the first round and beyond. They look really good, in all honesty.
Well, the funny thing is they might just do it anyway, right? Without a trade. But I mean, there's a lot of pressure on the front office to do whatever they can to put them in the best position possible, right? Because when you define best position possible, there's a lot of things you could say, okay, go get one of the big names. Well, a big name doesn't always get it done, right? Like, did we call the Blake Coleman trade or Barclay Goodrow trade to Tampa big names at the time? If anything, Tampa took criticism, Julian Breezeball, for giving up first round picks for both of those players. Everyone's like, what is this? But if you look back at it, they were both really cost controlled at the time. And they also had 2 seasons with them. And it just so happens they went and won 2 cups with them. That's the best case scenario. But I'm just saying it might not end up being one of the names at the top of my big board that the Leafs go get, but maybe more targeted, specific type trades for players with term. I think that makes sense. But those are a little tougher deals to make too.
Stay tuned for the big board.